I'm Yvonne with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Paraguay's new president has stressed the importance of ties with Taiwan in his inauguration speech. Santiago Peña said that Taiwan and Paraguay are not just allies, but also brothers. It's a sentiment that will be welcomed by Taipei. The country's diplomatic allies are dwindling around the world. Paraguay is the last remaining ally in South America. Sari Jensen is in the capital, Asunción.
A handshake, cementing 66 years of friendship. Taiwan's vice president and presidential hopeful Lai Ching-te has traveled to the other side of the world to attend new Paraguayan President Santiago Peña's inauguration. Both politicians hope to consolidate their countries' mutual commitment in the face of increased diplomatic pressure from China, which forbids countries it has relations with from recognizing Taiwan. It sees the island nation as part of its own territory. Paraguay is Taiwan's last remaining diplomatic ally in South America and one of its oldest. The antipodal countries have held ties for most of the last century. Neighbors Honduras and Nicaragua switched ties from Taipei to Beijing in 2021, leaving Taiwan with only 13 official allies, half the number it was 20 years ago. Like Taiwan's other allies, Paraguay is a developing country, and Taiwan has a lot to offer it. Scholarships, medical and technological aid, and investments in Paraguay's small and medium firms. The Paraguayans who benefit recognize Taiwan's contribution in these areas.
Entonces esto muestra que sí es el paso correcto avanzar hacia el desarrollo y avanzar juntos con Taiwán hacia este desarrollo y el sistema de salud que tanto añoramos y necesitamos acá en Paraguay.
But China is investing heavily in South America, building roads and mines, developing ports, and buying beef and soy. Many of the region's countries are willing to recognize China over Taiwan to benefit from these projects. Agricultural representative Neversindo Cordeiro says Paraguay's diplomatic choice has them missing out on the larger Chinese market.
El sueño de todos los países es vender a China porque China tiene volumen, China es el mayor comprador de carne del mundo, pero por motivos diplomáticos no podemos vender a China.
Analysts say commerce is one area China might offer Paraguay a diplomatic carrot.
The most obvious issue in which Paraguay can benefit from the change of recognition to China is at the commercial level, since the potential Chinese market is huge and is not comparable with what Taiwan can give.
But in a recent visit to Taiwan, Paraguay's new president, Santiago Peña, reaffirmed his support for the island nation, pledging to continue the long-standing alliance. At home, he represents a continuation of the old as the leader of a party that has ruled for all but 5 of the last 76 years. There could be a similar sense of continuity in Taiwan if Vice President Lai, the ruling party's candidate, wins the presidency in January. His visit to Paraguay and his attendance at this inauguration aim to consolidate ties and demonstrate that the two countries, though a world apart, remain committed to their alliance. Scott Huang and Sally Jensen in Asunción for TaiwanPlus.
For more on the relationship between Taiwan and Paraguay and how it is perceived, Sari Jensen spoke to Paraguayan foreign policy expert Julieta Yvonne.
Paraguay is Taiwan's only remaining diplomatic ally in South America. So how did ordinary Paraguayans see their country's relationship to Taiwan?
Taiwan has a high public profile in Paraguay, so the Taiwan issue does not go unnoticed in society in general. Maybe if we compare Taiwan's cooperation projects to what China is developing in the region, these projects do not represent a great economic contribution to the country, but they serve to remain visible in society. But despite the fact that some people are closely linked to Taiwan cooperation, such as the holders of educational scholarships and their families, the Taiwan issue is more related to the political and economic sphere than to the society in general.
The new president, Santiago Peña, recently visited Taiwan, and he said that he will not switch diplomatic ties to China. How does Paraguay fit into China's wider Latin American strategy, if at all?
Actually, China does not have a strategy in Paraguay. China plays a really low-profile role in Paraguay, and it's just waiting and not exerting a direct pressure on Paraguay, because Paraguay is mostly in the U.S. sphere of influence. So China has more influence in the rest of the countries, and we can see that also in the Mercosur. But in Paraguay, they keep a really low profile.
So do you think Paraguay would benefit from switching its diplomatic ties from Taiwan to China?
There is no comprehensive study on the benefits and detriments of a change of recognition. The most obvious issue in which Paraguay can benefit from the change of recognition to China is at the commercial level, since the potential Chinese market is huge and is not comparable with what Taiwan can give. And the same happens with credits and large infrastructure projects. But well, this also means that there are some economic sectors in Paraguay, mainly the exporters, that are pushing for a change of recognition to China.
So why does Paraguay maintain its relationship with Taiwan?
There are people, the ones that defend the relation with Taiwan, fear that the relationship with China will be too unequal, a very asymmetrical relationship in which the concerns of Paraguay and their people and their needs won't be heard. And in this sense, Taiwan plays a very good role diplomatically, being part of a really limited list of countries that recognize Taiwan gives Paraguay a status different from the rest and gives visibility to a country that is usually invisible in the international scene.
That was Paraguayan foreign policy analyst Julieta Yvonne talking to Sally Jensen. For the first time, Taiwan's investments in Southeast Asian countries, India, and other partners have surpassed those in China. In the first half of this year, Taiwan invested $1.9 billion in China, but over $2 billion went to 18 countries under its new Southbound policy. This includes all 10 ASEAN members like Singapore and Thailand, and also India, Australia, and New Zealand, among other countries. It's a sign of Taiwan's shifting trade strategy, which aims to reduce economic dependence on China. Several Taiwanese electronics companies have also started building manufacturing clusters in Southeast Asia. Taiwan's military is investigating why a missile launched from one of its main defense systems exploded prematurely and didn't hit its target. Tuesday's malfunction is raising questions about what is one of the country's most important defense assets. Hamilton explains.
Taiwan's military testing one of its missile defense systems when all of a sudden, the missile explodes before it hits its target. Now the military is investigating why one of its most advanced systems didn't perform as expected.
的原因跟它的这个后续的情况，我们还要再做进一步的查证。所以不管这个弹药射击的情况好或坏，那操作的表现正常或异常，我们都会详细记录分析，作为后续战备准备的依据。
Taiwan was testing a U.S.-made Patriot missile defense system, one of the country's primary weapons against missiles and aircraft. Data shows that more than 70% of Taiwan's population is protected by one of these systems, with several launchers spread across the island. And although the military hasn't said Tuesday's test failure is a cause for concern, some analysts are highlighting the system's age.
试射的是属于旧型爱国者2型飞弹，大概都有20年以上的时间了。本身的药柱问题、资料链传输的问题，还有可能是受到一些干扰。
Missile and air defense are some of the most important parts to an overall defense strategy. Beijing continues to threaten Taiwan with invasion to bring it under its control, and China's arsenal of advanced ballistic missiles and bomber fleet have the firepower to knock out the majority of Taiwan's military. China previewed what that would look like when then U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan last summer. It fired 9 missiles into the waters near Taiwan, including one that passed over the island. Taiwan hopes systems like the older Patriot 2 and the newer Patriot 3 can counter this threat.
Taiwanese forces will, by and large, be relying on themselves to defend the island in the initial days, potentially even longer part of that conflict. If they cannot hold the line, then the likelihood is that Taiwan will go.
Taiwan's defense budget is due to be reviewed at the end of August, and although systems like tanks and fighter jets may look flashy, Taiwan's military will also be eyeing up weapons like the Patriot that few will ever see, but play a vital role in keeping the country safe. Howard Zhang and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.
North Korea says U.S. soldier Travis King was seeking refuge from racial discrimination in the army when he dashed across the border from South Korea last month. It's the first time Pyongyang has directly acknowledged the soldier is in a highly secretive country. Private King crossed into the north while on a civilian tour of the heavily fortified border between the two Koreas. The U.S. says it cannot verify King's comments about the discrimination he claims to have faced. The U.S. subsidiary of Taiwan-based chemicals maker Formosa Plastics has settled in an antitrust lawsuit. The suit alleges the company curbed the supply of a chemical called caustic soda to inflate prices. Caustic soda is a widely used chemical in detergents, textiles, and pharmaceuticals. The settlement is considered an icebreaker, meaning it can pave the way for future resolutions. Formosa Plastic denies any wrongdoing and says it agreed to the deal to avoid the cost of further litigation. Taiwan has seen a sharp increase in reports of intimate images being shared online without consent. More than 1,300 people filed cases between February and June this year. That's 5 times higher than in the same period last year. Most of the complaints were from women ages 18 through 25. It comes as an amended law takes effect that requires websites to remove reported images within 72 hours. If they don't, they'll face fines or be blocked. Taiwan has also recently tightened anti-sexual harassment laws as the local Me Too movement draws attention to gender-based discrimination and violence. Taiwan is observing Ghost Month. In folk tradition, it's when the spirits of the underworld are said to return to the human realm. Yvonne reports.
As the clock strikes 11, the door to the underworld opens. It's Ghost Month here in Taiwan, or the 7th month of the lunar calendar. It's observed in much of the Chinese-speaking world, including Singapore, Malaysia, and parts of China. Across Taiwan, temples hold events to let out the spirits for a month. People leave out piles of food offerings for the spirits to ask for their blessing. Some even burn fake money to wish the deceased a good life in the underworld. In some parts of Taiwan, including Yilan on the east coast, events include releasing floating lanterns on the water to receive the ghosts. Once the spirits are let out, the bells and drums in temples are sealed in order to not disturb or frighten the spirits. But as the month includes rituals and traditions, it also comes with taboos.
不要结婚，很多好兄弟都还没有结婚就去世，在鬼月结婚会招来好兄弟的嫉妒。不要开市，鬼月开市不是好的开始。
But regardless of religious beliefs, if one has a general attitude of respect for the spirits, or good brothers as they're referred to here, they should be able to navigate Ghost Month with ease. Justin Wu and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
A Formosan black bear nicknamed Li Gaowan has been released back into the wild. The 3-year-old male bear was rescued after being caught in a snare trap in southeastern Taitung County in April. An operation removed part of his paw, and afterwards, Li Gaowan made a smooth recovery. Indigenous residents of the area also made a blessing before the bear was released back into the wild. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, we'll leave you with images of Huwei Fort in Danshui, New Taipei, built in 1888 during the Qing Dynasty. I'm Yvonne Yang. Take care, and I'll see you next time.